Never in the history of the world have the merchants of obscenity had available to them the modern facilities for disseminating this filth. Disseminating this filth. The onslaught of the communist masters of deceit.
Pinko, Commie, Slutz. Pinko, Commie, Slutz. Pinko, Commie, Slutz. Pinko, Commie, Slutz.
Marlo's here.
Yep.
Steve's here.
What are we laughing about?
Just Marlo's general Marlow-ness is
I like
what
to
I was
call it
enjoying.
laconicness.
Laconic like the Spartans. Truly, you are
One of the
like
many
them.
ways I mimic the Spartans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always saying this about myself.
Yes.
Well, fun fact about me is that for many years I attended the Laconian dance in Baltimore.
Were you not allowed to say a lot, or was it Spartan?
No, it was just the specific Spartan Society would throw this dance
okay.
every year, the day before Thanksgiving. And for young Greek Americans, let me tell you, it was a place to be.
Are you actually Spartan?
I'm not, but my best friend is.
Okay.
I'm Samyoti.
Is that just like an
And-
island?
Samos, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's an island, but it's the island that Herodotus comes from. It's the island that Pythagoras comes from. It's the
Any
island that
gods? Any myths?
Hera.
Would she like hang out there, or what'd she do?
That was the place she touched down on Earth.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
To like
Yeah.
find her husband who's like a goose and fucking something.
Well, Hera is Zeus's wife, so she's kind of the aggrieved wife of
Right.
of ancient times.
And like
so.
Zeus would constantly be an animal and fuck a woman like that.
Yes. She didn't get to fuck anybody as animals, though, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I do want to note that Pythagora and Herodotus are both family names in the Themulus family. My dad's real name is Herodotus, which is Herodotus. So I say, proves I'm a descendant. End of story. No further inquiry needed.
What are your...
Because it is unusual names. They're not
which
very
one was Herodotus?
Herodotus.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, that's my dad's name.
Well, which philosopher was that?
It's fucking Herodotus, the historian who also zhizhed it up, depending on what audience he was talking
okay.
to. So, checks out with my family, gotta say.
Okay.
This is why every time I confirm a Greek family story and it does turn out to be true, I'm like, holy shit, I thought this was zhizhed up more than it was. So far, so good.
So you're liars.
I assumed we were more liars than we have proved to be with my very modern lens.
But-
that I'm
Wait, so you were-
scrutinizing.
So your family was being truthful about how much they were liars?
My family's being truthful about all of these very seemingly dramatic stories of the past and where the family came from so far that I can investigate. I have yet to disprove one of the family lores. So it's an interesting thing because I talked about it a couple weeks ago, the thing about my grandparents' bar. And I
right,
always
yeah.
heard this thing, la, la, la. And then to finally get like the actual, like, this was published, blah, 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 the thing. Like, oh, I'm thinking they're like, I thought they zhuzhed it up. No, it was not just in the article about the meanest bar. It was they highlighted it in the middle of the page as a specific special. Worst bar ever.
Rules.
So my real dream and hope, and listeners, if you ever gave a shit about donating to our lonely Patreon or whatever, I am putting it out there that I want to do a research project wherein I prove or disprove this old family lore of mine that my great grandfather came to this country, went to work as a day laborer, and then in Pennsylvania, as far as I can tell, I've got the county, etc., but that he was not being paid correctly. So then he confronted his boss and hit him in the head with a shovel and then fled back to Greece. So I want to see if I can find any evidence of a fucking Greek immigrant hitting some boss man in the head with a shovel in or around Beaver County, Pennsylvania, early 20th century.
That reminds me of an Archie story, right, Marlo?
It reminds me of an Archie joke. I don't know about an Archie story necessarily, but I will just really quick say, Bunny, if you're going to use Patreon money for a Henry Louis Gates, I also want a Henry Louis Gates.
Oh, no, absolutely. No.
Yeah, no, because
I'm going to do a QAnon. So we come all, whatever the fucking thing is. We all get Henry Louis Gates if one of us gets Henry Louis Gates.
My great-grandmother...
I think we all are good pitches for Henry Louis Gates, though, in our own unique way. So this is something I've thought about a little bit.
Yeah, my great-grandmother, we just have, like, the family fact that she was an anarchist, and no one knows what that actually means.
Hell yeah.
She's like a Russian Jew.
I'm horny to do that research, man.
Yeah, she's a Russian Jew. She was definitely a leftist radical.
Hell
exactly what kind, we're not sure. And only I actually give a shit in my family.
Exactly, right? So this is a thing, is also, I think other people in my family care tangentially, but like I've already done a great deal of research and found all the records I could thus far for free, i.e. I found the ship manifests.
Ooh.
I know the times they came over. And
Henry Louis Gates fucking loves ship manifest.
Exactly. So Henry Louis Gates, shout out to you. Listen to this. Find your way in the universe to Henry Louis Gates. I'm putting in the vibe out there because I did do the research, and because Greek is not in fucking Latin letters, they spelled my great-grandfather's name different ways. I did a whole thing. I really did. I did like, okay, the times that I've been told in general are this and this. And I went through and I did find the manifests where my great-grandfather came over first, was a day laborer for a while, and then went back to Greece. Then he came over with my great-grandmother. They had my grandmother. They stayed 18 months and then they all went back to Greece. But because my grandmother was born on American soil, she was able to go to America during World War II when they weren't accepting refugees. But she was like, I kept the papers, which also I want to know about. How is this possible? You kept the proof of this fleeing Samos, coming to a refugee camp in Palestine. She comes to America from Palestine and she's in a refugee camp. My grandfather, who's not yet married to her yet, is a guerrilla fighter and hears her yelling at people in the refugee camp and recognizes her voice and goes and finds her.
Does your family have like traditional sides?
I have proof of that.
Civil War, like the Greek Civil War? Or were you pretty much all gone by then?
Pretty much all gone, but I think, like, I definitely know there's no explicit communists in my direct family. I don't know about the uncles and etc. And it's definitely something that gets split in Greeks, whether you're like an explicit leftist or whatever. But my papu didn't talk about it. Like even my dad and my uncle didn't know the extent of his fighting until he died. And then my uncle and my dad contacted the Greek embassy wanting to know some information, if any. And then they were like, oh, he did all these things. And when he died and we did his funeral, the guy from the Greek embassy came and did the Greek flag ceremony on his coffin.
Oh.
So there's still some things I would love if there's any information about, good or bad, things that my actual family did during that time and whatever. I did find the ship manifest for when he came over, for when my grandmother came over, because she came over 5 years before him. And that's why my my dad and my uncle are 5 years apart. I was like, you did it, girl. Look, listeners, I would make this shit worth your while with my research because either I'm going to find out a confirmation of these wild stories or I'm going to find out like somebody's a bad guy or something. More or less. And there's no other way but to like actually try to go somewhere and see if I can find something. Like if he hit somebody in the head with a shovel, like I'm going to go to the library and the historical society and see if they have old timey newspaper prints and etc. Like, because I'm sure if an immigrant hit somebody in the head with a shovel, cross my fingers, hope they wrote about it or whatever.
New York Post is actually the oldest still in print American newspaper, I'm pretty sure. Or I made that up. But
well, I'm just saying newspapers were the hot shit. They wrote about kind of anything.
Yeah, I just imagine like early 20th century New York Post being like the Greek menace.
Yes. Do you guys know how much I would love to find a story that like implied something of this nature? Oh my God. Like hubba hubba. I would love.
Do you know what year they came over?
Yes. So I know Pythagora, my Yaya's father, he came over twice, which is something I discovered doing my Ellis Island research. I had been under the impression that the experience of him coming to America had been this experience of basically dropping my Yaya as a anchor baby here, right? And then I started doing some research and then I asked my dad and my uncle and et cetera some more questions. And then it came out there was a possibility that my great grandfather had come a couple years previous to the time he came when my Yaya was born. Though? Well, I didn't pull up these notes because I wasn't planning on talking about this, but I haven't. I believe it's 1913 and 1916. It might be a little bit further back. It might be a little bit more spread apart, but I know having my Yaya was 1916. So I don't know if the shovel incident, I don't know which time that might have transpired.
It's called the shovel game.
But yes, it was this story I'd heard like initially as this throwaway story of like, oh yeah, well, yeah, they weren't paying him. So he hit him in the head with a shovel and then he went back to Greece. And then I get older and I'm like, wait, extrapolate on this. Tell me everything you know. So now my dream is to do a little bit more deep research. And then even going farther than that, I really want to go back to the village and go through the baptismal records because I have like a handful of stories that I just, as a fucking little kid weirdo, like either I had heard from my grandparents or like my Yaya's best friend came over on the ship with her and it was my Tia Fagnon. So she also would tell us stories about like when they were young. And I like just obsessively kind of like recorded this in my own journals and diaries. Like, so I have these handful of stories about what life was like on the island and what the dynamic was, but that's it. Beyond who my great grandparents are, I can't tell you anything else about my Greek family. And that's pretty common for Greeks. The farthest that could possibly exist is to the War of Independence. And Samos was not even like part of Greece until 1913. So the best shot I have at any like weird, cool record stuff would be via the church, the actual church in the actual village and whatever. Like my first boyfriend, coincidentally, was a Greek boy whose family was also from Samos. And there wasn't a ton of Samos people, but it just happened to be that. And his dad went back to Samos and then like people in Samos knew who the Themelises were, like my grandfather or whatever. Yes. Yeah. So the stories I've always gotten is that like my grandfather's side of things, they were like big shots in the village they were in. Which, yeah. So the word my Tia Fagnon always used for big shot, which she would pronounce, it mean like big shot. The word is profunda. So she would go, oh, your papa, he was such profunda. You know what I mean? I mean big shot. You think he big shot. right? But then as she's telling the story, the reason his family thinks they're a big shot is because they have their own well.
And they have their own goat as well.
See,
they have
pretty
a goat
much.
and a
then
well.
everybody else is supposed to go to the communal well. And my Tia Fagnon had this very lovely story about, because my yaya's family wasn't as prestigious in the dynamic of the island.
That's slightly less good.
Her family, they ran the bakery, but yes, not as
They own the means of producing water.
So there's a story my Tia Fagnon tells about the Themelis well was a lot closer than the communal well. So they decide they're just going to go steal water from the Themelis well.
Oh, God damn. Fucking Hatfields and McCoy's shit.
So they sneak over there, and then my Tia Fagnon is the one, like, they're kind of like, you do it, whatever. So my Tia Fagnon goes over to it, and she's pulling up the water, and she turns around, and then my Papu is there, and he, like, scares her, and she drops the water everywhere. And then they were not together at this point, right? My Tia Fagnon was like, oh, and then she's laughing with him, like, oh, it's so hilarious. I dropped the water. Like, I always loved this story because it was like her story of how she knew that there was something between them.
It is very Il Postino.
Well, it's literally a scene in Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh, okay.
In the beginning of Lawrence of Arabia, Lawrence is being brought on camels by one of the tribesmen, and they come across, I think, a different tribe's well. And so the tribesman is like, we're stealing their well water. And then he comes up and then shoots him. He shoots him over the...
Okay, so it's not really a scene from Lawrence of Arabia?
It has different conclusions, but the same premise.
Right.
Your people fell in love, and in Lawrence of Arabia, it started a tribe war.
Right. So it's
The
a little
Howie
different.
Cat in the... I forget the other tribe. But yeah, that's when they say, you are silly people. The Muslims are stupid, silly people. Yeah, it's a very famous colonialist moment when the white man's screaming at the Arabs.
Yeah, rest in peace, Prince Philip.
Yeah. That's a good segue.
Oh my gosh. Shouts out to my fellas in the Greek Australian diaspora.
I do know that is a major diaspora.
Yes. And also they feel the brunt of the weird, delusional, like, Philip the Greek bullshit than I think anywhere else in the Commonwealth, probably. So, shouts out. I know you're dealing with some weird, super white Australians being like, our Greek's white. And they do it a fun way. They do it super fun over there, and I love it. Shouts out to you. I enjoy it. But, yes, this is an opportunity to talk about one of my least favorite things, which is ethnic Greeks themselves who think it's cool that there's this weird pseudo-Greek royalty glommed into the overall British
Greek
royal
royalists,
family.
I think you're... Or monarchists?
Yes.
Are they monarchists or are they royalists?
But no. Okay, so when the Greek Civil War happened post-World War II, not everyone who was considered on the royalist side was necessarily really into this idea. It was just who got whose attention in this like scramble for weird like control in a really decimated
It was
Greece.
based anti-communism.
So yes, exactly. So you were royalist if you were anti-communist, regardless of what the fuck you felt ideologically. And those things happened often village to village, like old school family feud to family feud, like depending
Based on
your
feeling?
personal or fucking weird alliances like that, and not necessarily born of pure political ideology. Like, I want to separate the dynamic there from like Greek leftism that is pretty developed.
So yeah,
certain
your
ways.
yaya
So-
steals from your grandfather's well And then
falls in love.
Well, yeah, but then like as a result
Not
of that,
in any way to get more water.
Those two families are feuding, and one of them is royalist, so the other must be communist. But then, meanwhile, your Yaya and your Greek word for grandfather are falling in love in a very Romeo and Juliet fashion. Star-crossed.
Yeah, there's
Star-crossed lovers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but that was also my joke about Prince Philip, is that despite being born in Greece, he's just a byproduct of a weird crypto colony attempt. And also he never spoke Greek. He never went to Greece. He left as a baby when they were
He went to
exiled.
Nazi Germany.
Exactly. And arguably the Greekest thing about him is his marriage. His cousin. Thank you. Thank you. Hey.
Opa.
Yes.
That's what the Greeks say at the comedy club. They don't laugh. They just shout "Opa."
Bravo. They might say bravo too.
Yeah.
They might hiss. That's also a thing. It means you're really getting it.
People be dying.
This play is not gay enough for me.
Yes.
Would be a thing they'd say in ancient Greek theater, I assume.
The older men are not having a healthy relationship with a younger man enough, I think, is what they would hiss at.
This boy isn't hairless enough.
Mm-hmm.
Or they would just argue about whether or not comedy or tragedy is a better representation of reality. I don't know. I've been listening to Bunny's Beans.
Yeah, I mean, Greek philosophy do be like that. But I think the important thing to remember about Greek philosophy is that there was a variety of thought, and despite later thinkers deciding that Aristotle got things right for like 1,000 years before they tried something else, does not mean Aristotle did that on purpose. I think even he assumed these dipshits would do something different
To
sooner
quote
than they did.
Aristotle, oh boy, I love founding white civilizations.
That's my qualm with the Greek royalists, and my greater qualm with the Greeks who seem to actively choose to lean into white supremacist fucking ahistorical nonsense and try to claim it and try to be like, it does count that his father was technically made the prince of Greece or the king of Greece. Like, it does count, even though like nobody's ethnically Greek. Nobody's speaking Greek. They're not Greek Orthodox. Prince Philip's father, who was the king of Greece or whatever the fuck, did not grow up in Greece. Like, it's pretty lame. Only if you have some weird old-timey affection for the idea of the British monarchy and their attempt to like spider web their way and have them being connected to every single seat of nobility possible. If you're not invested in that story. And it's weird. It's weird to me that a Greek would be invested in that story. It like didn't benefit Greece at all. Like, there's a reason why Prince Philip's family had to flee when he was a small baby. Like, it's not as if they were beloved of the people while they were there. So
they like representation.
So, and it's funny because I think calling Philip Phil the Greek was intended to be disparaging in the context of.
Oh yeah, almost certainly.
Yeah, because Greeks are silly people. They're stupid people.
They're hairy,
Okay,
royal,
so
we're loud.
My argument, real quick, is that when Constantinople fell, the last emperor conveyed the title of Roman Emperor to the King of Spain. So I'm going with that's the true King of the Greeks.
King of Spain.
The King of Spain.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just saying. I mean, I'm also saying that Greece is the modern Roman Empire. So you have that to go with, too. It's the rightful successor. The Republic of Greece is the rightful successor to the Roman Empire, is my argument. So you should appreciate that nonsense and go with my theory that the King of Spain is the king of Greece / Roman emperor / Byzantine.
I'll take it.
You know what? I'm not even calling it Byzantine. I'm just calling it Roman Empire.
Byzantium.
Well,
Byzantine would be the overall, like a piece of art can be Byzantine or whatever. But
no, I'm saying
is
Byzantine emperor versus Roman emperor. I'm just titling that Roman emperor out of respect.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Fair. I'll allow it. Well, yeah. But that was also what jogrified me this week, is seeing the random Greeks who pop up to do these kind of apologetics, like wanting acclaim.
Okay, real quick history for normal people. What is his connection to Greece?
He was born on the island of Corfu.
Where is Corfu?
Because his...
I know. Is it like on what side of Greece? Is it at the bottom? Is it on the east, west?
It's where Ithaca is, like on the other, where Odysseus is trying to get to. So on the side that, like, the closest coast of the other is the...
Okay, so it's on the Italian side.
Right. Yeah, so it's on the Italian
Dalmatia.
Side. Like,
is it by what used to be called Dalmatia? Today called like former Yugoslavia,
actually.
Pretty much.
Well, no, it's more south of that. Like, I'm saying, like, you know how Italy's a boot. Literally, probably the closest point of Greece to the heel of the boot is Corfu.
Isn't there like a BBC miniseries about, like, is that about Prince Philip's family?
There's like a whole affectionate, like, kind of mythology around it, it seems. But essentially, there was this attempt to, in the years post the Greek independence, there was sort of this jockeying of trying to get some power in Greece, but Greece doesn't have anything except the cool stories. You know, like, that's the complicated thing. Like, would Greece have gotten support for independence when they did if there weren't like a handful of fucking British people who were horny for the idea that they concocted in their heads of Greece? You know, the Philhellenes, Lord Byron literally fucking died in Greece coming to fight in the Greek War of Independence. So, I don't know. It's complicated in this way. Whatever. But then there was this very kind of concerted effort to impose and, like, envelop Greece into this broader idea of the crown and et cetera. And the King of Denmark was designated as the person who was going to get Greece. And that's Philip's dad or uncle. It might be more extended than that. And then his dad was a prince. But yeah, so then, like, his father, I believe, was the monarch of Denmark and Greece. And Philip was originally Philip of Greece. And then he, like, relinquished his titles in order to marry Elizabeth. But yeah, he left Greece when he was a literal baby, never learned to speak Greek, and never went to visit as an adult. Charles went many times. Philip's mother sort of had this life where she kind of became, like, all she did was philanthropy in Greece as a older widowed woman. But beyond that, it's a technicality that he is born into the Greek and Danish royal families. He's born into the Danish royal family, which technically had a hold on Greece for a temporary period of time. And then they're exiled.
There's something very Edwardian era about the idea of the ladies' club for support of the island of Corfu. Like, I could just imagine, like, that being a charity that would run in that sort of slightly post-Victorian England by, like, you know, wealthy housewives who are bored and have nothing better to do.
I might have misspoken. I think technically Philip was baptized Greek Orthodox, but he was only ever in touch with German Protestantism of his family. And then when he married Elizabeth, he became whatever they have to be, Church of England.
You can just call it whatever they have to be.
So you're saying he is legitimately Greek, is what you're saying?
I'm saying technically, I believe they did at least take that step. So I had been maybe more disparaging.
I mean, no, if you convert away...
I thought they didn't even get baptized Greek Orthodox, but he wasn't raised. I mean, I think certainly there's people who would say he was raised Greek
I'm
Orthodox,
all for, like,
but that's
late
not.
European royalty, weird bureaucratic technicalities about religion. I love that shit. So, yeah, no, he was baptized Greek Orthodox. He's Greek Orthodox. That's fine. But once you marry the Queen of England and become the Prince Consort, you are now Anglican. So that doesn't count anymore. Like, that's just all there is to it. I don't give a shit. Yeah, he was raised fucking whatever the fuck Norwegians believe in. Probably some depressed, like, Protestant snow god. But, yeah, no, once you become the Prince Consort of England and you have to convert to Anglicanism, you just had to convert to Anglicanism, and now you're Anglican. Before, when you were baptized Greek Orthodox and the designated successor to the Greek throne, sure, you were Greek Orthodox for however much time that was.
I definitely don't validate any aspect of legitimacy of the Greek crown because
bullshit, but that's the system.
Like, it was a crypto colonizing mechanism, not something that was actually mined some sort of inbred system of nobility. It would be different if there was some sort of indigenous
King of Spain, baby. That's my point.
But that's half of the things since ancient times. We don't like kings.
King of Spain.
Like,
there would be a succession from the Byzantine throne. So I don't know if that's an ideology, but I'm going to take it up. Is the King of Spain is the rightful, legitimate heir to the Greek crown.
You could also, and I feel like then you can make some kind of
this is going to get
between the
Franco
two. Like that, there's a bridge.
Fast. This is going to be very like Carlist, fascist, kind of weird fascio royalism kind of shit. Like, this is not remotely going to be like, how do the Jews reckon into this? You really want them to ask the least about
what connects Greeks and Spaniards but Sephardic people?
Fascist movements in both countries.
I feel like it is a thing. Sephards.
Yeah, sure.
They,
I have a funny story.
Go ahead.
So yesterday, my lovely girlfriend, Ariel, called me up and said, so I was doing a deep dive on the Red Scare podcast.
Cool.
And it was like one of those moments when you're not sure how to respond. And you're like, should I celebrate this? Or should I say, no, please don't? And she's like, and I come to the conclusion, I don't like them. And I was like, me too. She's like, I came into it with an open mind. I listened to them and I was like, they're like pick-me girls.
Yeah.
And they're mean and they don't like feminism.
And they have eating disorders.
And they're too cool for school, living in their Brooklyn. Yeah.
Because they're on.
And I was like, and then we had a 2-hour conversation about why we don't like Red Scare. And I think that was a lovely story.
Yeah, no.
That is.
It's a great
nice
life, because that conversation could have gone two ways, and it went in the most beautiful way.
I mean, I feel like from how much I know Ariel, I kind of would assume she wouldn't like Red Scare.
Yeah. I would too.
I would be very surprised if she liked Red Scare, but I don't know.
Right. But she was like, well, I went into it with open mind. It's these ladies, dirtbag left ladies, in theory, that should be something that a feminist would be into. And then she's like, well, women who care about things are just fake. And abortion is bad, and we should all be more tradcath.
Yeah.
Praxis.
Pretty much.
All right, so I guess we have a feud with Red Scare now. Cool.
Well, we should get in line because I hear it's a popular thing to be.
Okay, sure. I mean, like, I don't ever think about them.
Well,
if y'all come across this and y'all want to be,
I don't give a shit. Like, it's not for me, and I'll never listen to it, and I think it's dumb, but, like, whatever.
And then she went on a deep dive of Adam and Dasha's relationship and all of the rumors.
Oh, no.
Okay, that's
Did she cheat? Did she not
that's
cheat?
bearing the lead. Like, Ariel listens to some Red Scare and is like, "Oh, this sucks." I was like, "Yeah, I thought that would happen," but now she's just becoming a fucking weirdo on like the Cometown subreddit.
Yeah.
It's great, dude.
Well, no, okay. The backstory to this is I got her into Cometown
Dream
first,
Well, yeah, obviously.
and now
You're a
she
good
was.
boyfriend. That's what they do.
That's what they do. And then now she's really invested on whether or not Dasha cheated on Adam.
Oh god, that's so goddamn stupid, and I love it.
It makes you wish there was a gossip columnist whose beat was fucking Brooklyn podcasters. Like, is there a third party resource
then I heard
can
that-
turn to?
Well, then I
Is there
heard
a
that
blind item?
Ariel brought it to my attention that Azalea Banks and Red Scare were beefing.
Oh yeah. Well,
Well, it was TrueAnon, I think, tried to get her into one of their Epstein episodes, and she's like, I hope you're not boring like Red Scare is. And then Red Scare got ticked off by that, and I'm sure used it to their...
Yeah,
Whatever.
I mean, like, whatever.
that's the thing is that they're like not fucking cool enough. Like, if I was fucking Red Scare, I'd be like, that is fucking dope as shit. That Azalea Banks.
Yeah, no, I'd put it in the bio.
Hilarious. Like, I
But
would
that's
go,
the...
mwah, mwah, mwah. Like, yeah. And so they act basic about it and pretend that they're not being like the basic skinny bitches. Their weird fat phobia is kind of like just in and of itself is like what I was like, dude, fuck off. Like, I don't care if your praxis is good. Like, this is snooze alert. Like,
Go off,
get out of
Queen.
here.
Keep it rolling with why you hate Red Scare so much. We're gonna take this. We're gonna take this, and we're gonna bring it to their attention.
It's boring, and then it's like it's telling me it's so fucking provocative, and I'm just like, what is no? I can't co-sign this.
Yeah, okay,
delusion. And I shan't, and I won't. I get what people are horny for, but me, I don't give a shit about these particular girls. They remind me of some of the people I tolerate. People I've been at a party and I tolerate this person. So no, I'm not especially eager to listen to a podcast where then they're like petty and mean in ways that aren't even super fun.
Please, no.
So,
Let's deconstruct what we don't like about them. Keep going. Keep going, Bunny.
Well, I'm saying there's an art to being like a certain kind of bitchy where you keep it fun and it's transgressive in a refreshing way and etc. But they're not doing that. They are pretending like they're already receiving credit for doing that. That's how they like perform, you know?
Is it that they take themselves too seriously? Is that the crux of it? Or is it that they have legitimately bad viewpoints?
I do think they have bad viewpoints in politics, but I also think they have that certain disease of, oh my God, I'm so clever that you can't possibly tell like where my real feelings lie, but also I can't myself.
Which can work in context, like comedic context.
Yeah, if you're really funny, like
the irony blurring can work to people's advantages.
Yeah, I fucking hate to say it, but y'all bitches are not come down. Like, you're nowhere near that level of clever and funny. And like, I'm not trying to gas the boys up more than they already are, but it's like, come on, like, not even for women's sake. I'm not going to pretend like anything the Red Scare Girl's doing is even coming close to mining the same kind of like transgressive territory that, you know, even doesn't work on Cumtown, you know? Like, it's, I'm not even talking about the best bits. Like, Red Scare, they're riding high off of their relative cool girl ability in a very narrow scope of things. half of the things I ever hear about them is just their mean girl stuff. I've never heard somebody be like, oh my God, they put this concept so well that I had to like tell other people about it in this specific way. You know, like they're not giving people things of value. Gotta say, even fucking Come Down once in a while is giving somebody something of fucking value. Well, at least for women.
Well, yeah, that's definitely part of it. The other aspect of it is even if they did give a good perspective on it, I wouldn't agree with it.
Well, yeah, I think it's obvious there's a lot of contradictions and
where do you think they're coming from?
The stuff we can reduce to being like trad is like something I can't relate to. Like, and I perceive it as something as the anxieties of a younger woman who has certain conditioning. Like, I don't see it as insightful or whatever. I see this as somebody who's got more concentrated conditioning about femininity and your role in the overall picture of humanity.
See, this is where you're caring too much
than
about
I do
things, Bunny, and we just want healthcare, honey. Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't give a fuck about these women's future babies. Like, fuck you. I don't give a fuck about that. And I don't give a fuck about like this romantic story you're writing about it already in the guise of like you're different and whatever. It's the same old shit. And it's not even that deep politically. It's just weird, narcissistic, fucking narrative storytelling that justifies your own existence and what you have been compelled to do.
I will say the one redeeming thing I saw them do was interview Zizek, and that's because I appreciated how he railroaded all of their input. He just talked over them.
I've only heard good things about it.
He just talked over them and would not give them an edge into a conversation. And anytime they did question him, he just steamrolled right by it. Marlo, do you have any thoughts?
Well, okay, yeah, that's just Zizek. And my thoughts on Red Scare are I've never listened to Red Scare because everything I heard about Red Scare, it sounded like I wouldn't like it. And I've never heard anything that would suggest I would like it. So I just haven't listened to it. And I'm pretty happy about that.
Good on you. Well, and I think most people, the reason they listen to Red Scare, most people I know, is because of Amber, because they listen to Chapo. And like she's like the person who's a guest the most on Red Scare.
And she did that interview in a semi-conservative fascist magazine with them.
And she consistently, when I do listen to Chapo, she consistently says the things
that should be in a Red Scare episode.
You know? So, I mean, like, personally, it's just like I'm aware these women exist. I don't relate to them, so I don't really get any value despite us being relatively on some side of the political spectrum, supposedly, you know, like
well, I think what you identified, the tradness, is something that Marlo's brought up before about the assumption of working class people being
workerism.
Workerism, which is assuming that workers are more conservative than
that's a part liberal. Of it. But pretty much.
Well, but also, isn't it a little bit of like mining this territory of this ideal vision of a worker,
and then harnessing and saying we need to tailor our political engagement to that social conservatisvism.
Yeah, so you make up a dipshit hillbilly who works in a fucking coal mine, and then you're like, we gotta be more racist to appeal to this.
I mean,
guy.
You're approaching it from, to give a Marxist critique, you're approaching it from a idealist perspective.
I sure
not you.
Not you.
I didn't do that.
Right.
No. I mean,
like where you're just saying, I mean, the socialist principle should be, this is what we need to do to make all of our lives better, not I need to speak in this code to get these people on my side.
To me, it's also like this diluted nonsense. Like there's this mystical quality to the worker that you've got to like tune into, you know, as opposed to a worker just being a person who is a worker.
when you go out to eat,
You know?
they're the one they're serving you. And also, you're probably a worker too. So, like,
going on that assumption, it also comes with a lot of other baggage that they bring with it, such as misogyny doesn't exist, the patriarchy doesn't exist, and that these are all things that bourgeois concepts
Or like
that
bourgeois,
they
like
throw
delusions.
onto the worker to make the worker feel bad when the worker has a deeper reactionary social conditioning.
Which, you know, like, fuck it. Like, yeah, I do think I have more of working class bona fides than these people. And I'm not afraid to say so. So, like, to me, it's just like this dissonant fucking bullshit that I'm used to hearing from well-intentioned people of all kinds of backgrounds, where it's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, because my lived reality is this day-to-day, things aren't making sense because this doesn't make sense. And I'm being told that it does make sense, and I'm supposed to pretend it makes sense. Like, the stuff that they say just always strikes me as someone who's academically approaching this, who's gotten aware that this is a thing, and maybe they've had some micro experiences that validate it for them, but it certainly does not feel
or it's a
like
put on.
they get it. I'm being generous by not saying it's a put on, but yeah, like, best case scenario, it's a well-intentioned attempt at exploring something they became aware of, you know, but it seems born of an academic framework rather than you know, for me, a lot of these things, I feel as though I discovered an academic framework later that was able to clarify things I was already experiencing.
Aren't we aware that
feeling.
This isn't Red Scare specifically, but it's actually even giving him too much credit. But Felix is feuding with Amy Therese right now. Are we aware that that's happening?
No, but please update us.
Okay, so do we know who Amy Therese is? Steven?
I have less familiar.
Well,
I know
do,
that she's in the Red Scare, Mike Tracy, Glenn Greenwald, anti-woke, post-left bullshit.
She has a podcast called What's Left. She's Australian. I've never listened to her podcast for the same reason I've never listened to Red Scare. So yeah, I only know secondary information because normal, and I just don't listen to shit I don't think I'll like. But she's most well known beyond the people who listen to her podcast, which is very small. She has like just the most insane takes on Twitter, and they've gotten progressively over the years, like, sort of just contrarian from a left perspective to just sort of like, she's kind of openly just right wing now.
And she's got some takes that are like on par with the feeling I have about Jordan Peterson. Like, did someone create this in a lab to irritate me specifically? Like, she's got that same fine quality.
Anyway, so she was like banned a while ago for bullshit reasons, like saying we should beat Warren, which clearly actually did mean like beat in the electoral sense. She was not calling for the physical beating of Warren, but also I don't actually believe in free speech, and I disagree with her politically, so I'm fine with her getting silenced for that. Anyway, so since then she's had a series of throwaway accounts, and on the latest one, so like Felix said something, I think, about euthanasia earlier, like about the people who like talk about that they're against euthanasia or whatever have never seen someone die of cancer, like some shit to that extent. And I think Amy Therese then like just decided to be against euthanasia and had this long post about how it's actually going to be like the PMC who will decide to kill off useless members of the working class or some shit like that. To which Felix then retweeted with the comment, crackhead take. And Amy Therese has been on a fucking tirade about Chavo Trap House ever since then, and it's just been a thing that's happened for the last like 5 days, that if you're a strange person who follows strange people on Twitter, you know about this. Like, that's basically what's going on.
Yeah. I love it. I'm into it.
Anyway, nothing's happened in the real world for the last week. It's just all been like Prince Philip bullshit. Oh yeah, DMX died. Rest in peace.
Well, DMX did die. So, yeah. It was one of these celebrity deaths that made me feel unexpectedly confronted with my
I don't
own
know.
mortality.
Like, he was the standard at any house party you were at in 2003.
Exactly. My entire office, like, it was this funny thing where it got confirmed via Twitter or whatever, and then people in my office were like, oh, damn, like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, we're all in this, like, certain bubble of millennial age where we have, like, young teenage to adolescent, like, real fixed memories where, like, DMX
I feel
is
like
just
I
playing in the
related to my
background.
dad when George Harrison died.
And
Because, like, frankly, like, I don't know, when did George Harrison die? Steve, you know at all?
Nope.
Don't
I know it was in our lifetime.
Yeah, it wasn't terribly long ago.
He died in 2001.
Okay, so 2001.
serious.
So my dad was, like, a bit older than me now, but not terribly much. And I grew up, my family never fucking listened to the Beatles at all. It just never came up, and like we never listened to the Beatles. I knew who they were. I knew what their songs were. But yeah, never listened to it. And like my dad was really like, yeah, kind of like, damn, George Harrison's dead. Like, and yeah, that's kind of how I feel about DMX, where it's like, yeah, I never chose to listen to him that often. I know his songs, I know who he is, but like, yeah, shit. Like, I heard a lot of his music in my life. Like,
X gonna give it to you.
yeah.
Full disclosure, I wrote a whole essay about this. So I'm going to put it up this week. But it was interesting to just, like, whatever. That's why I didn't remember last night, guys.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, no, stupid.
I did call that.
And in my messaging with you,
Fair
I was
enough.
kind of like
Absolutely
mid-second bourbon. Yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be up, whatever. And then I did fall asleep. And in
I
my
will
defense, I
never
did
start
have to
a
get up this
precedent where
morning.
anyone should be angry at anyone for getting drunk and falling asleep. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. So yes, but that was the deal. Though I am
Yeah.
I think it's just me and Marlo who are
shit.
vaccinated.
Congrats,
Right?
dude.
Yeah, because they did exactly what I said.
Hell yeah, dude. So yeah, I'm feeling crazy, dude.
My life is
Are
not going to
look,
change when I'm vaccinated.
Fine. But I am physically feeling like the faintest whispers of, I want to do things. I want to go places in a way that is not even like a part of my personality. Like, I would like things to go back to normal and I get to stay home. But I do feel like, for example, at my day job, the assistant manager was like, hey, on such and such a day, what if we all do karaoke? In normal times, I would never say yes to this. She said it and I was like, sign me up. Like, because I have been thinking about the next time I was going to do karaoke in a way that it does not reflect my actual relationship with going out or doing karaoke. So, yeah, I definitely I'm interested to see how weird I get. So,
yeah, I'm gonna go out to bars and get drunk. Oh yeah, no, it's gonna be great.
I can't wait to get drunk at a bar. Oh my God, I'm so psyched. I'm like really psyched for this. Oh God.
Yeah, 2 drinks and I want to
anyway,
leave because it's
this is my goals.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. No, I am so looking forward to the next time I get to do like just not even that cool comedy show, but I get to like.
Ooh, you know what I'm gonna figure out when the next time, whenever the
like
go to Ocean City High School garage band that gets a gig at Yesterday's Bar is playing. Yeah, no, it's a staple of.
This sounds super fun. I want to come.
Shore town suburban life.
Also, I would love to return to Ocean City, New Jersey. I would love to, once to get the ghost tour going again, I'd like to, after like 15 years, go on the Ocean City, New Jersey ghost tour again. So I've got a lot of stupid dreams in these tentatively post-ish pandemic times.
And I hope they fail.
So.
I hope that nothing opens and that we have a fourth unexpected wave that bypasses any of the immunities that the vaccine may or may not give you.
Yeah, that would be cool too.
Yeah.
I'd be all right with that as well. But like, I think me and Marley are already getting where we fit in. Yeah,
I will be a throwaway line in a Billy Joel song.
Oh my God.
Black.
All I want to do is act out being the people from the Billy Joel song in actual New Jersey.
Robot Chicken bit? Yeah, where Billy Joel goes around in claymation and kills people and gets the power of their story. I think the bet. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like a good bit and almost makes me want to think that maybe Robot Chicken's better than I remember. And now I'm going to do a Robot Chicken deep dive and go, it's okay.
I've been watching The Nanny, guys. And
okay. Now the big question of the day for me was we didn't start the fire, reactionary or good.
Sure. Reactionary, whatever. I don't give a shit.
Guys, based or
I think
cringe?
It's fair to say reactionary, but you have you have to realize the novelty of saying so many names so fast supersedes
and also,
any real meaning. So
End of the World is a better patter song, so what the fuck do I give a shit? Well,
obviously,
Patter song is a better song.
What? Where is this comparison? I'm offended by that comparison.
Yeah, Black Hole Sun is not a patter song.
There's no comparison except
Funny, you're
talking
the
about
Broadway lady. You should know this.
I associate We Didn't Start the Fire as being like a end of the world sort of, like this stuff happened and we didn't start it. And Black Hole Sun is about the literal.
All right.
I was going with the structure of they shout a bunch of things really fast. Which is called a patter
that's also
song,
a connection
which
that I
Black Hole Sun is not. That Broadway bit about West Side Story something America is, but End of the World and that one, and also
that one. Well, the best part of that song is when they're like.
Also, what's the HMS Pinafore?
That part's the better
part. Yeah, that's prototypical. But
yeah.
Anyway, Black Hole Sun's not. It is a good song. I'll give you that. It's
just kind of faintly. Well, in my mind, We Didn't Start the Fire is about the fire that's ending the world, so is Black Hole Sun.
This is like the most harebrained.
This is literally like my 8-year-old idea of things. This is not. I'm not arguing this is an intelligent.
Well, also, I mean, End of the World is also about the end of the world. So there's that. To mock I feel like we weirdly didn't address. Yeah, no, it's called the name.
God damn, you're right.
We had in like middle school. We had to do
the whole thing.
We had to do a class project on one thing in the song.
I just had a history teacher play it for us and go, "That was that song," and we all went, "Okay."
No, everyone in the
and I was just like Marilyn Monroe.
The patter song by Bob Dylan, the Subterranean Homesick Blues.
Oh yeah, also a patter song.
Yep, that's why I said it was the patter song.
You know what? I'm going to take a stance.
It's a stupid gimmick, but
Johnny's in the basement.
I might enjoy them when I'm inebriated.
I'm on the pavement. Think about the government.
Steve, actually, I'm pretty enchanted with your
Marlo can't do his
impression
now.
of them, actually.
Yeah, no, I'm the one with the Bob Dylan impression. It was like always my thing.
No.
But also, I don't know the lyrics to
I'm
that
not
song.
disparaging yours. I was just saying, I feel like I can tolerate a patter song if
Man in
you
the
guys
trench
are
coat,
doing it.
bad get later.
It's the key. So if this is ever like if it's crucial that I enjoy a patter song, it's got to be one of you guys.
All the
Making
names
fun of
mentioned
it.
in End of the World as we know it have the initials LB. Leonard Bernstein.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. A patter song. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah,
The only ones I like are in Pirates of Penzance. I do like that one. I am a very model of a modern major general. I do enjoy that. Yeah, I'll admit it. But I feel like it's the only
Rodgers and Hammers.
who is that?
Gilbert
the
and
musicals. It's the only Gilbert. No, Gilbert and Sullivan. It's the older guys. They're not.
Oh, look at you on your high horse.
They're operatic.
Listen.
Look,
I know the difference between an operette.
These are things I learned in a college musical class. Yes.
I have the first recording of My Fair Lady when they called it.
I do hold it precious because it's what's classy. Okay, I have a pretty good movie knowledge because movies were accessible to me, but my knowledge of things that you could only see if you had access to seeing Broadway, etc. Any little bit of info, I coveted it because the musicals I knew prior to higher education, more or less, were just what had been made into a movie musical. So, West Side Story. That's why I do know that song. Sound of Music. I didn't see Rent forever, but I had eventually got to hear the soundtrack, So, I think, but actually, I think the first musical I saw actually on stage was Green Dress, which is like the guy who wrote Rent. It's the other musical he wrote. And there's like one good song that it's Tick Tick Boom is the name of the play, but the good song is called Green Dress. But that production and then every subsequent clip of a production of that show, the green dress is not that great. But there's a whole song about the green dress and how it's so beautiful that he's entranced by her. And I'm like, come on, guys. There's a lot. I know he says in the song there's all these buttons, but you could figure out a better way to place the buttons because those are the lyrics. Green dress, 20 buttons in a strap. It's not very good. It's not as... Also, Rent was
it's that
partially
French
lifted
guy
from another creator.
No, wasn't it? Okay. What were they French? Because that was.
It was a woman. Part. Oh no! Those elements are definitely there. But the actual development of Rent itself. There's a specific story that obviously I didn't look up and don't have notes for, but I am aware of. But yes, there are those other things, and obviously that's why he does the part about
something about tuberculosis or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. La Boheme. That's why the songs La Vie Boheme. Yeah, it mirrors that structure and etc. But I listened to the Rent musical. Oh, and then the few musicals that we did in high school, right? That was my exposure. So I did Guys and Dolls, very fun. I did not get any of the good parts. So just ensemble. I do argue I would be a great Adelaide. I'd be a shit Sarah Brown, but a great Adelaide. And I love that song, Adelaide's Lament, because she gets to do a really stupid old-timey Brooklyn accent, but sing it. Average unmarried female. It's super fun. And then I love Damn Yankees. I love dumb old musicals. I love dumb old musicals that have an obvious Damn Yankees is Faust. And I fucking love that, but it's baseball. And I love
West Side Story.
I love those. Oh yeah, West Side Story just being Romeo and Juliet. I do like that. But I always loved the character that sings America more than I like Maria's songs. Frida Morena in the movie. Also West Side Story, the movie, is a great example of their weird, they tried to brown everybody up. But then some of the cast was legitimately olive skinned or Latina or whatever, but they also were well, we got to do you too. And there was a special feature of a DVD of West Side Story where they talk about this on an interview, and I haven't been able to find it online, but I remember it because the guy who played Bernardo and Rita Morena are talking about it, because the guy who played Bernardo was Greek. Yes, Greeks. They got to play a lot of ethnics up until they let them play.
Until they were allowed to be white people.
Exactly.
All right. Greeks start, Greeks end.
Yeah.
Bunch of Red Scare beef in the middle. That's a Pinko Commie sandwich.
No, it is a moussaka.
It's a Pinko Commie spanakopita. A Pinko Commie.
Red Scare is spinach.
Okay. I like spinach though. I feel like there's some bastardized Slavic imitation of a good Greek food. There you go. You heard it. Because you're Slav.
There's certainly former Yugoslav Greek crossover cuisine. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't give a fuck.
Like how Alexander the Great is from Macedonia.
Now.
And on that
we're at the end of things here. How dare you? And
love you, Erdogan.
And cut. And scene. All right.
Fucking,
he's the worst.
All right.
Let's get it.